the prevalence of traditional pensions is declining. There are questions about Social Security in terms of its long-term sustainability. Personally, I don't think it's going to go away. Things may change, things always change, but I don't think it's going to go away. Ultimately, and then the increased reliance on personal savings. And when I say personal savings, I mean that if you have a 401k at work, you're saving money. That is a savings account for you. It has particular rules around it that are meant to encourage you to keep that money there and invest it for your retirement benefit. But in essence, the message is, the basic message is that the responsibility for retirement income is shifting more and more to the individual and based on personal savings. So, with that being said, I'll try not to be too pessimistic with this or too depressing, but you know, we read about on nearly a daily basis the challenge that people have with housing, affordability, with equitable pay, all of these issues. But I also believe that we tend to adapt our lifestyles to our income. And what you tend to see, or at least what I saw during my time in the industry, was that there tends to be a continuation of your lifestyle into retirement. Right? Your expenses may change. You may find more of your dollars going to things like healthcare, frankly, but your lifestyle, for the most part, just continues. It's already been said by Carlos. It said that Albert Einstein said the most powerful force in the universe is compound interest. And what that means is your best ally in terms of building retirement savings is time. Contribute early, contribute often, contribute on a regular basis. Because even if you're putting away a small amount that's commensurate with your lifestyle and your income level, you're getting the power of compound interest over a long period of time. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to see the screen, so if you have sufficient time, it's possible to build up quite a nest egg. And by the way, the nest egg for retirement is really a collection of different things. So don't think about it as you've got to have $1 million sitting here. Well, you've got some personal savings. Maybe you have Social Security. Maybe you have a little money coming in from elsewhere. But those things aggregate to give you your retirement income. So in reality, retirement income is a collection of streams of dollars for most folks coming from different places. This issue is especially important for women. Why? Because on average, women live longer. But interestingly enough, women are much more conservative with their money than men, especially as investors. It's one of the reasons that financial education is so important. But let me also give you kind of a personal perspective on financial education. Representative Ryden gave you a snapshot of my background, and basically I've been an analyst in technical fields for many decades. I won't tell you how many. But having the math background, having the engineering background, I was always a do-it-yourself investor. On top of that, I was put through an MBA program by Lockheed Martin, where part of our training was in investing, the markets, reading company financial reports, getting down to the fundamentals of the health of a company. But guess what? I've had a couple of episodes where I've on paper, actually I've lost some pretty healthy chunks of money. And 2008 did not help. That did provide me with an incentive, though, to enroll in a CFP program, which then led to my getting into the industry. But what that also taught me is the importance of having a good financial advisor. By the way, I'm still a do-it-yourselfer, since I was a financial advisor. But that is extremely important. Why? Because you're looking to invest over the long term. And that's not necessarily an easy kind of thing to do, to make the right decisions, to make adjustments to where you have your assets placed over the long haul. But something that you should be aware of, and I think you'll hear more of, is because of this changing environment or at least partly because of the changing environment for retirement income, the Department of Labor is about to issue a rule that will require professional financial advisors who work with retirement or qualified accounts. They're retirement type accounts, so they're 401ks, they're IRAs. You may have things like SEP IRAs at work. What it means to have this rule in place is that your financial advisor then, if that person is working with that type of account on you, has to act as a fiduciary, has to put your interests first, which means that, and we all automatically assume that when we go and work with a financial advisor, they're going to do the best thing for us, rather than something that's just suitable or something that works. Now the difference is that if you go to a financial advisor and you are working with an IRA and you have two growth funds, two growth mutual funds that the advisor has access to, and you both agreed that having some of your money in a growth mutual fund is the right thing for you. Well, that advisor, if that advisor is merely working to a suitability standard rather than a fiduciary standard, can recommend the one that will cost you more. So that ultimately means that you have less money working for you over time with that compound interest. So watch for that in the news. Unfortunately, this rule will only apply to the types of accounts that the Department of Labor has authority over, but the Securities Exchange Commission is also considering that type of fiduciary rule for a broader range of accounts. So I'd welcome any questions you have.
Great.
A couple of years before I would retire, I had to go to mandatory retirement training. Didn't want to go, had a lot to do, just piled high with a lot of things. But I found out it was very good, and on evaluations they asked me what I thought of it. It was a great training. The problem was it should have been 2 years after I started working instead of 2 years before I stopped working. So that's kind of where I am. We're kind of piggybacks on Ben and Carroll's on where we need to go on retirement. I'm going to be talking about Social Security. In ARP, when we look at retirement security, we look at Social Security, we look at pensions and savings, we look at work, and we look at health care. Or as some call it, the four-legged stool. And those are all things that need to be considered when you're looking at retirement. One of the things I did learn in that training is we need to start with a strategic plan on what we're going to do when we retire. One of the most important things when you look at that strategic plan is what you're going to do with Social Security. When are you going to apply, and all the factors that go into that. Social Security was never designed to be part of the retirement. 401ks were never really designed to be part of the retirement. It was supposed to supplement your retirement plan. Unfortunately, the world is now to the point where we have to consider those as our retirement plan. Whether we like it or not, that's the environment we live in. Social Security is becoming much more important on how we do that planning for it. Social Security takes long-range good planning. And I can tell you from experience, I jumped in and applied for Social Security, probably made many mistakes doing it. Since then, I've learned quite a bit about those mistakes. Those mistakes I made are not reversible. I'm stuck with them. So our goal is to let you know you need to really think it through. Social Security is probably one of the most complex, simple programs we have around. August 14th will be the 80th anniversary of the signing of Social Security. What are the impacts on Colorado? We have approximately 615,000 people in Colorado that get some kind of a Social Security benefit. 58% of the people over 65 get half of their income for retirement from Social Security in Colorado. 1 in 7 people in Colorado receive Social Security benefits. The sad news is that 3 out of 10 people in Colorado over 65 only have Social Security as their income. What does Social Security do for Colorado? Roughly $10 billion a year is pumped into the Colorado economy by Social Security. The multiplier effect is just under $20 billion a year from Social Security. So it has a heck of an impact on what we do in Colorado. One of the things that you'll find about Social Security, first of all, it is basically like a defined benefit plan. You will always have it. It's inflation-proof. It doesn't go up or down with the economy. Basically, there's no private product that is equivalent to Social Security. And it's been said, it is probably the best benefit that women can have because they outlive us, we men. And we are still in the generation where many women depend on their husband's benefit for their income upon the husband's death on that. And the older we get, the more women depend on Social Security primarily. So it is very important what we have. In fact, Social Security is probably one of the best assets we have in the United States. One of the biggest mistakes we make with Social Security, and Carlos related to this a little bit, is a thing called full retirement age. You can get Social Security at age 62, but you take a financial hit by going early in that. Full retirement age is quickly becoming 67. It's about 66 years and 10 months this year, but it will quickly become. That is a key on what you do with Social Security. You can go in and claim it, but not only do you need to look at what the impact for you, but you need to know, particularly married couples, need to know what the impact is for the spouse. The spouse and need to be part of that strategic planning process, particularly when it comes to Social Security, particularly if the spouse has never worked outside the home. it becomes very important because of the benefits accrued. If you start early at age 62, you can lose as much as 30% of that benefit. The other thing is you lose a lot of flexibility by tapping that benefit. And I understand with our economy the way it is and how everything, some people just need to do it. They need to do it to survive. My brother was one of that. He got laid off about 2 years before he turned 62. Social Security kept him going until he could find another job. So there are just some circumstances where you have to get it, but if you can avoid doing it. The other thing is, when you wait till full retirement age, there's a thing called file and suspend. That means that you can go in and file and then suspend your benefits until a later date. And for each year you delay taking your benefits up until age 70, it's 8% additional a year. For an example, full retirement benefits are $1,000. You go in and you apply at age 62, you get $750 benefits. You wait until age 70, you get $1,350 benefits. And remember, there is a thing called the COLA, or cost of living adjustment, and that's usually a percent of what your benefits are. So if you wait till age 70 and you have that percent added, it's a bigger percent. So you really have to look at what you're doing. Married couples probably have more flexibility in how they do this than do singles. So it's very important that these decisions are made with your eyes wide open. The other thing about it that helps is for divorcees. You can only get one Social Security check, but which is the bigger? The one that you get on your own, or the one you may get through your ex-spouse? So there's all these type of variables that go on, and you really need to go and understand what it is. Social Security Administration is not going to give you a lot of advice on how to do that, because they're prohibited from telling you what to do. You can go in with a bunch of questions, and I recommend that you go in with a list of questions with all the variables that you might have, and ask questions. Then they'll give you the answer. Because they have to answer your questions, but they can't volunteer for you. They're prohibited from doing that. So you go in there, and remember, what they don't know, they can't help you make the decision. So you really need to think it through and go and determine what your goals are. The other thing that people don't realize about Social Security, if you continue to be employed, say you take your full retirement age, and the other thing I want to caution you about, the full retirement age for Social Security is different than the full retirement age for Medicare. Medicare is at age 65, Social Security is age 67. Be careful when you go in to apply for Medicare, because they might deem you eligible for Social Security at the same time. That takes away your flexibility right there, and you can't file and suspend until you get to age 67. So you got to really understand these differences. The other thing, if you want to continue working, you can continue working, but for every $2 you get for employment, you will lose $1 for Social Security. You really don't lose it, it's just deferred until you reach full retirement age. But still, there is that part that you need to consider. The other part of Social Security, particularly when you're dealing with a 401k, you got to consider the tax hits. A lot of people say, take that early Social Security and save your 401k. Maybe, maybe not. And Ben can probably help you more, Carlos can probably help you more on that than I can. But it may be to your advantage to take the minimum out of your 401k and wait till age 70 for Social Security because of the tax provisions. So there are many different variables you have to consider. Again, you go in with a strategic plan, you go in with some information on what you want to do. I could give you a 3-hour college course on Social Security and all the variables, and we don't have time to do that this evening. But what I really want to stress, when you're talking about your strategies for saving for retirement, don't forget the Social Security and how that impacts those different benefits that you might get from that. It's got to be a package. For married couples, it's got to be a common strategy. So you really need to stop and think it through. With that, I'll stop and give time for questions and answers. And thank you for inviting us.
All right. Thanks again for being here and all that great information. Definitely want to welcome anyone that has any questions for our panelists up to the microphone. While you all are formulating your questions, I actually have a question. Carlos, you had part of your presentation, you were showing like a $6,000 savings, which was for $102,000, just under 6%. What average do you recommend, or do you all think is a good average for people saving for their retirement? Like a percentage of their income.
A rule of thumb for your savings, of course, is very personal. The savings rate in the U.S. are very, very, very low, under 5%. You go to Japan, people save 20% or more. If you look at the inflation, that's one of the factors. The other factor is use. I mean, you have a car, at one point that car is going to be gone. So if you plan on that, that might be another 5%. Technology, I mean, you had a cell phone 10 years ago. Now it's a must. I'm always with this because it becomes a tool. So another 5% when technology increases, all that. So right there, that's about 15%. And the real inflation is about, what, 3 or more? So our generic recommendation is to at least have a goal of 20%. 20%, zero debt, and the rest is your lifestyle.
All right, I gave you guys a freebie.
Nice. That was great.
Can I add something here?
Yeah.
You know, when you think about your finances, you got to place things in context. Your dollars go for a lot of different things, and your success in getting to a retirement income goal can depend on a lot of other financial issues that will come up, right? So if you're thinking like a financial planner, you're thinking about the obligations you have, the risk exposures you have. Maybe you've got a parent that is advancing in age, and you will have to contribute to the care of that parent. There is a time phase that maybe you have kids that you want to assist through college. What is your lifestyle relative to your income and all of these other issues? What can you set aside? What are the other resources that you have for retirement income? Maybe you do work for an organization that provides a defined